Hi, my name is Hilma Volk, and I've been a massage therapist since 1991. And the reason I developed this course, well, long before I developed this course, I was having problems of my own, and I searched articles and books and all over the internet at that time, and there's a lot of information on ergonomics and how to use workstations efficiently and all that, and very little on self-help for numbness in the hands and fingers. And so I started developing my own techniques. And the reason this course is so much different than a lot of other ones that there are on the market is they only talk about the carpal tunnel. And you might say, well, duh, it's a carpal tunnel course. Well, most of the time it is not carpal tunnel syndrome. And the reason that it is because muscle imbalance is something that is not talked about much in the doctor circuit because it's not studied very much. It's studied more in the physical therapy end or massage end, but actually very few massage therapists really know about this either. And none of the techniques that I show you have I learned from anyone else in any of the continuing education courses I've taken or the massage courses I've taken. The ones that I developed myself, and I don't think anyone else is teaching these unless they've got it from me. Or, you know, they found them randomly here and there, but not all in one place, unless, like I say, they got it from me. So, the reason that carpal tunnel only is not my thrust is because the nerves that go into your fingers come from the lower vertebrae in your neck. And they go down your neck, underneath the collarbone, underneath your armpit, down your arm, and into your fingers. Well, if there's pinching anywhere along those paths, if there's pinching in the vertebrae, if there's pinching in the front of the neck, if your neck is forward, you can have a mimic of carpal tunnel in your hands. If there's pinching down here with a muscle called the pectoralis minor, if there's some tight muscles in your shoulder, they can be affecting the nerves in your hand. And a big one, the main one that causes problems, is the forearm muscles itself. And the main reason for carpal tunnel problems is tight forearm muscles, meaning that you're using your hands all the time usually. For various different tasks, whether it be within your job, whether you're typing, or bagging groceries, or hammering, or you're a waitress, or you're gardening, or you've got hobbies like playing the guitar, or video games, or knitting. You're using your hands a lot. And most of the time your hands are down. You're using your flexor muscles. If you're using weights and you're gripping those barbells with your hands, you're using your forearm muscles because the muscles in your forearm move your wrists and fingers, and I'll explain a lot more about that in your course. But the carpal tunnel is actually closed more. It's not open all the way if your forearm muscles are tight in the front. And these are the flexor muscles in the front, the ones that close your fist, and those are the ones you're using a lot more than the ones that open your hand in most cases. So you have a tendency to be pulling that carpal tunnel short, closed more with your tight forearms. And there's also muscle in here that's not even discussed very much, but it's the pronator teres. I don't use technical terms very much in my course, but it's the one that turns your hand down as opposed to up. And when that's tight, which it often is, it can pinch right on top of the median nerve, and it mimics carpal tunnel syndrome. And also, hey, if this little finger and half of that ring finger is numb, that's not carpal tunnel at all. That's not even a symptom of carpal tunnel syndrome, but it's a problem. If the back of your hand is numb, that's not carpal tunnel syndrome, but it's a problem. And I will discuss how to tell where your problem is coming from and what to do with it. You know, what to do about it. And I give a lot of description of why things are. You know why I do that? Because nobody else tells you. Your doctor's not going to tell you that. If you go to a surgeon for carpal tunnel surgery, he's going to tell you a lot about what his surgery is going to do, but he's not going to tell you all this other stuff. He makes a lot of money in a short time for doing surgery. He does not make a lot of money giving alternative techniques. If he even knows about it, it's not in his interest to even learn about them. You know, some people say I talk a lot about giving descriptions of things and say why things are. And the reason I say why things are so much is because when I do give you the techniques to use, you'll know why. If I just give you the techniques, you don't know why you want to do those. They don't make any sense. And a lot of other courses just give stretching. I give stretching in my section 2. I give a lot of stretches, but they're not the main part of my program. And I don't even use them myself because I use my own techniques that I use in the core videos that I show. And the techniques are mostly self-massage techniques. And you might say, well, my God, a silly little massage isn't going to do any good. Well, if you consider that a silly little massage, you're right, it is a silly little massage. I call it a slide and glide. It's not specific, it doesn't do diddly very much. But I use techniques that do not use your hands because I know your hands are overworked. If you use your hands on some other parts, I use minimal pressure with my hands, but it's very, very, very effective, very specific. And here in America, at least, everybody wants a quick fix. Give me a pill, doc. Well, anti-inflammatory drugs may make you feel better in the short run, but in the long run, they actually make your problem worse because they're shutting off your brain's engine warning light saying that there's a problem, and it stops sending in the natural things that will help cure out any gunk that's built up in there, and it'll continue to build up more gunk, so you'll have to have surgery. Drugs do not work. There's other things that will, and I'll explain those too. Cortisone shots, yeah, temporary fix, but they're very powerful, and in the long run, they don't last. It might only last 2 months in some cases, sometimes as much as 2 years. But then you're back to where you were, and if you keep giving cortisone shots in the same place, you will deteriorate your tissues. You will deteriorate muscle. You will deteriorate tendons. You will even deteriorate bone and ligaments, and those cannot be repaired. And then there's surgery, and I'll explain why that's not always the best option. You know, if you've let it go so long that your hand is dead all the time, yeah, maybe that's your only outlet. But don't let it go so far, because it can be reversed. And surgery has its risk, and in almost all cases you are left with a much weaker hand because there's a hard strap across here called the carpal tunnel ligament. It's got other names as well, but it goes this way. And they slit that when you do surgery, and the reason that is there to begin with is to give you leverage when you move your hands, so you will lose some of your grip. You won't be as strong. And if you're in a profession like a lot of musicians are, particularly guitar players where you're doing bar chords and stuff, you need a strong hand, and you may not be able to recover that. Also, a lot of times there's been surgery, and it's amazing to me that it happens when carpal tunnel syndrome has not been the problem at all. 1/3 of the time, people are very happy. 1/3 of the time, there's mixed results. You know, the pain may be gone, but there's part of the function in their hand that's not there anymore. And 1/3 of the time, they wish they hadn't had it. You know, the pain keeps on going, their hand is worse than it was before, or else there's no difference because carpal tunnel syndrome was not their problem. But anyway, I have helped hundreds of people, not only in my practice, but through my course. So that's me, that's who I am. Just look at the free videos first, and you can decide if this is for you or not. Thank you.